The adventure of Pythagoras began on the Isle of Samos in 570 BC. As a young boy, he was an eager learner, seeking wisdom from Greek philosophers and mathematicians around him. His thirst for knowledge and understanding of life drove him to explore new kinds of knowledge and try out different experiments. He left his homeland at the age of 22 and travelled to Egypt, and thence to the ancient Greek colonies in Italy, where he made many discoveries and formed his own school, which he called the School of Philosophy. Along with making fantastic discoveries and inspiring his students with wisdom, he formulated what is now known as the Pythagorean theorem. In 540 BC, he and his followers embarked on a journey to Crotona in southern Italy. It was there that he founded a community based on principles of equality and brotherhood. All members of the society shared their possessions and knowledge alike, and were expected to live a spiritual and harmonious life. Later, he moved to Metapontum and opened a second school, which explored mathematics, astronomy, and music.
He also revolutionized mathematical thinking by introducing irrational numbers and the decimal system.
His new theories created controversy amongst the ancient Greeks, and some members of the community branded him a heretic. However, despite his critics and enemies, Pythagoras' principles garnered a lot of support and admiration from the people who welcomed him into their heart. As his fame spread, he moved from city to city, teaching and spreading knowledge everywhere he went. Some of his most famous disciples included Plato and Hippasus, who were said to have been enthralled by his teachings on mathematics and metaphysics. It was in this way that he spread his ideas far and wide, causing much debate and intellectual thought. Although Pythagoras was not able to publish all his hard work and findings, scholars suggest his radical ideas and theories helped to shape the foundations of modern science. He had tremendous respect for animals and believed they could think, feel, and even reason. He also embraced vegetarianism and taught how humans robbed nature of its energy through their diets. As his philosophies began to attract more and more attention, his enemies also grew jealous and plotted against him and his followers. They attacked several of Pythagoras' schools, causing chaos and destruction.
Fearing for his life, he escaped and set sail for the island of Crete in 518 BC.
When he arrived, he received a warm welcome from the inhabitants of the island, who admired the strange man for his wisdom and generosity. He quickly established another school, and once again he taught about the divine order of the universe and the importance of understanding one's true self. Despite his success in Crete, Pythagoras' enemies were constantly hounding him, trying to disrupt his teachings and drive him out of town. Several times, he had to flee the city in the middle of the night and was often forced to go into hiding in nearby caves and forests. One day, while visiting the Oracle of Delphi in 499 BC, the priestess warned him that his life was in danger. Unfortunately, her warnings were soon proven right when his enemies ambushed him and his pupils in an attack that left many of his disciples injured or dead. Thankfully, Pythagoras managed to escape with his life, but he was forced to leave Greece and travel across the Mediterranean Sea. He eventually landed in Sicily, a place he had only ever heard stories about from sailors. It was here that he set out to begin a new chapter of teachings and philosophy. Upon his arrival in Sicily, Pythagoras was overwhelmed by how generous and welcoming the locals were towards him. Not only did they allow him to teach in their cities, they also gave him a place to stay and provided supplies for his journeys throughout the region. With time, during his travels throughout the region, more and more people began to listen to his enchanting lectures about mathematics and music. Eventually, he had established enough fame and popularity to challenge the reigning king of the region. In 491 BC, against all odds, Pythagoras led a revolt against the oppressive monarch and helped the people of Sicily overthrow their oppressor and usher in a new era of freedom and justice.
The news of his heroism spread like wildfire, and he quickly became a local legend.
Sadly, this newfound fame would ultimately prove to be his undoing.
In 482 BC, two of the king's soldiers caught up to Pythagoras and murdered him.
His body was never found, and the exact circumstances of his death remain a mystery even today. However, this tragedy did not end the legacy of Pythagoras. Instead, his philosophical works and scientific discoveries were passed down generations and still influence us today. He is remembered as one of the most important philosophers in history, who was able to bring new ideas and insight not seen before. Pythagoras' teachings left enduring imprints on nearly every academic field. His discovery of the harmonic ratios and properties of musical sound have been used by musicians, composers, and musicologists for centuries, and still echo in the works of contemporary artists. His theories on geometry revolutionized mathematics and engineering. His work on recurrent proportions, sacred geometry, and the Pythagorean theorem have inspired centuries of research and are still studied in school systems around the world today. Just as he had hoped, Pythagoras left behind a better world that was more equal, just, and rational than it had ever been before. His spirit lived on in the minds of those who read and studied his works, allowing him to continue to influence and inspire humanity long after his own death.